2025 is coming to a close, and Politico is already declaring that the 2028 race is underway. Politico even started handing out early winners on the Democratic side. Goofy Gavin Newsom, he was crowned the party's top attack dog. Kamala Harris just launched a new political action committee, and she's getting labeled the, quote, intra-party instigator of the year. Oh, and Mayor Pete and AOC, they also picked up a few nods along the way. But according to this CNN data guru, things are looking a lot more straightforward on the Republican side. And here's why.
Just take a look at New Hampshire, right? The first in the nation primary. I mean, take a look here. J.D. Vance at 51%. The next closest is Nikki Haley, who's at 9%. I can't recall anyone being this far ahead at this early stage in New Hampshire. I look back, hitting 50% plus in the early New Hampshire polls for a non-sitting president. J.D. Vance is the only one. J.D. Vance is the only one ever.
Paul, I used to say you don't want to be the front runner early because they rarely make it.
No,
I mean,
right.
the political graveyard is littered with folks who didn't go all the way because they peak early. We don't need to go through their names. Why do it? But I think J.D. Vance is in a different position. He can call himself the deputy to this president and everything good that's happened. When the president's abroad with his cabinet, it's J.D. Vance who's here. How do you see it?
So Vance, look, he has the bully pulpit from being the vice president. That's undeniable, and history has shown us that. He has another advantage. He has a story. We talk about it in the A block about the messenger being as important or maybe more important even than the messaging. And as any good prosecutor knows, when you're doing your closing argument, the idea is to give a narrative. We're hardwired for stories. And his story of coming off a mountain in Appalachia had a very hard scrabble beginning. He goes to Yale Law School. Now he's the vice president of the country. He's right next to the biggest job in the world. It's a great story. He's got one thing that can really undermine him here, which is the thing that makes him strong right now, Donald Trump. If the Trump administration doesn't work, then he's going to own that as well. So you can either own it for the better or own it for the worse. On the other side, similar story. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say it's AOC, all right? And I'm going to tell you why. She's got the Mamdani thing, which is she doesn't really stand for anything. She stands for platitudes. I'm going to make your life better. Everything's going to be cheaper. Don't ask me where the money's going to come from. I'm just going to do it. Look at any of the significant legislation that she has sponsored. I'll wait. Because you're not going to find it. The Green New Deal, it's a joke. There's nothing else. What can undermine her, because I do think it's her, is the same thing, Mamdani. Because Mamdani is sort of, her mirror image. And as we watch him crash and burn in New York, assuming that happens, she'll own that because she's New York and she's coming from a similar place. So it goes a little bit to what you're saying. If they're both the front runners right now, they got to make sure they stay there because they could own failures that are adjacent.
Let's be fair to AOC. I looked this up a few months ago, and she had passed legislation to rename a post office or a park.
She did
It's
one?
or the other, yes, or maybe two post offices. Yeah. Tyrus, you've been a great Trump savant in these 10 years, the era of Trump. How do you think the best way to handle, not on the Democratic side, but the Republican side, is President Trump not being on the ballot in 2028, but obviously being very relevant?
I think the biggest thing is to not, this is what happens when things are good in the country. You talk about the future when it's 3 years away. Like this, and here's the thing. None of these people on the board, with the exception of the VP, because he's in the game, are actually going to be there at the finish. America, like, you can get away with your little weird stuff in New York, because New York City's weird. They vote against their own interests. That's their New York thing. I'm dealing with it. The legitimate people for the Democratic Party aren't even thinking about the presidency. They're doing what they need to do right now. I think Hakeem Jeffries is the guy that he's passing stuff. He's showing leadership. The Democratic Party is slowly getting away from this progressive stuff. You're going to look at someone like that who's doing the work. Right now, this is flash and pan. These are people who are good for what? Media ratings. You get AOC on, the Republicans watch because they want to see if she's going to say something silly, and if J.D. Vance, he's Trump. They can't touch Trump, so we're going to get J.D. Vance. This is all what happens when you have nothing to do. So instead of playing poll games, we should have made this segment where we all showed pictures of our children and our family and what we're going to do for this weekend. Go outside and play. Everyone get hobbies. I recommend fishing. It's relaxing. But this is the result. You can never beat President Trump again. I have to keep saying it. He won. Game over. There's no ball. There's no field. J.D. Vance, if he keeps going on this trajectory, but who knows? Rubio might catch fire. Hell, I might run. Who knows what's going on back
Are
then?
you old enough?
Yes, I know with this because I don't wear makeup on TV, so this baby skin. Me and Johnny might run. Who knows? We might have a mixed ticket and just do it. Who knows? But the point is, this isn't much to do about nothing.
Well, the Democrats want to talk about it because they don't have a message.
Because they're getting the butts kicked. I want to talk about anything else. If I'm in a football game, I'm down 56-3. Team Trump's smoking me. I want to talk to Johnny about, hey, yo, let's go fishing.
Richard, let's talk to the Democrat. I have a question for you. Let's talk about Kamala. What to do about Kamala? Because people are begging Donald Trump for his endorsement on the Republican side. Nobody is asking Kamala, including the two women who just won the governorships in New Jersey and Virginia, to campaign with her. She seems like a punchline.
Number one, I think Tyrus is right. I think, there's a long time. We have a midterm election to get through before we could even think about what happens in 2028. I think the second thing, and I think Kamala Harris is a footnote in history to this particular point, is that only 13 vice presidents have actually occupied the Oval Office, which is bad odds for Mr. J.D. Vance. I give you a lot of credit, Kellyanne, because in 2016, you took somebody who was a household name and you made him president with your pollster magic. I'm a DC insider. I know what Kellyanne was capable of doing.
He's the kingmaker.
And I think what the problem is for J.D. Vance is he doesn't have that sort of Trump brand ID that will make him somebody that sort of can last out in a field that is going to be full of a lot of contenders, including Marco Rubio, including Nikki Haley. I think Pam Bondi is going to be in that mix too. I think there's a lot of contenders that also will have a story to tell, and we'll see who Kellyanne.
Hispanics, women, we've got a long
and we'll see who picks up Kellyanne Conway.
Before Joey closes us out, though, name 3 Democrats you'd be comfortable with.
I think the field is. I think there's a lot. I think it's way too early. I think the field is wide, and I think there's a lot of good candidates out there.
All right. X, Y, and Z. Joey.
Yeah, it's super quick. Anything before the midterms is a fool's errand. We need to see what the game is. If it becomes Democrats in charge of the House going after President Trump, trying to impeach him, it may be a Republican that defends him well, that gains some momentum. It may be a Democrat that attacks him well. I think that's where Kamala Harris cut her teeth on a national stage, was being there in front of the judiciary, attacking Kavanaugh. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.